So I'm actually using the pencil tool, which is in the toolbox panel. I'm using black stroke with no fill to it, and I'm just going to trace this line. And whenever possible, I want to make one continuous piece for these shapes, because then I can spend less time joining them up. So there's the character's nose. Now as I draw this mouth, you're going to notice something weird happen. As I draw from here to there, it's going to want to connect and sort of move the line, which I find eternally frustrating. So what I do instead is I carve from a different direction, and I might draw through that spot, and then I can come back over here and move the piece down. Okay, so once you get used to doing that, it gets a lot easier. So let's take this piece, let's put his big happy smile right in there, and there's that. And then we'll also draw a cartoony little tongue. As you can see, because I tried to carve a piece into it, it's sort of connected. So I'm going to just move this line around. Most of the time I can draw the lines I want, and other times I can choose individual points and move them. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to take my pencil tool again, and let's put the bottom lip in there, and there we go. Next I'm going to add in his eyes, and again I have to draw through those lines and finish them off afterwards. I'm going to draw the pupil or the iris. In fact, what I can do if I'm lazy or efficient, whichever way you want to look at it, is I can take this piece and use Alt and drag it over. Let's flip it around. So I'm going to use the Object menu, choose Object Transform, Reflect. It's going to reflect through a vertical line. And then I'm just going to rotate that. And my cursor changes depending on where I'm pointing. So once I see that little arc thing, I can draw this, and I'm happy now. Okay, so I'll take the pencil tool again, get this little part of his eye socket on the edge of his face in place. I'm going to draw his ear, and I still have the same problem with the ear sometimes, that when I draw, let's zoom in on the ear, shall we? Let's try this. Okay, so now I'm going to take the pencil tool, and I just want to give some definition to the inside of the ear. So I have to draw towards it in order to get that right. I'm going to back up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take his neck, put his neck in place. So as you can see, this is starting to work into an image. Now I'm not going to go through the whole thing and bore you to tears, but I am going to start working through just the head. It's almost like I'm drawing, but it's difficult to rough draw in Illustrator. It's always important to have a rough image to work from, a sketch of some kind, a preliminary drawing. Professionals and amateurs alike find it beneficial to work in that format. So now the lines are separated there. Let's carve out the lines of the hat. Nice swoop, and I really want to move that piece there. So again, I'm getting the sub-selection tool. Actually, it's called the direct selection, depending on what software you're using. Let me take that one out. So now I've got handles that allow me to change those lines. Let's get the pencil back, so I can use back and forth between the various tools. And as you can see, I drew from the previous point, so I'm going to draw up from there. Now we're going to add in, I'll add that other part in later. Okay, let's add the hair, and then as soon as I have the rest of the drawing finished for the hair, the head, what I'm going to do is show you how to make the lines more interesting. And before I do, I need to remember to put the eyes in place. I'm going to take the ellipse tool, I'm going to change the fill color to black. Here in my tool panel I can do this. And I'm just going to draw an ellipse. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. Now if your eyes are shaped like this, see a doctor, because my pupils are round, but those look pretty good in cartoon. Now let's try a couple things out. We're going to change, and we're going to take a look at our brush panel. The brush panel right now has nothing in it, it's empty. So what I want to choose is I'm going to go open up a different brush pack. I'm going to choose my artistic, ink, and that's going to open up this panel, which has some kind of weird looking disappeared. So the artistic ink brushes have a set of different appearances that allow me to select and change. Now you notice that this is pretty huge, so I'm actually going to choose this line here. I like the spirit ends. It replicates a lot of cartoon work that artists do with brushes and ink. So the next thing I need to do is reduce the thickness of that line to maybe 0.25. Then I can take this outer line here, set it to the same line, and change it. Because it's the outside line, I'm going to change it to like 0.75, maybe 0.5. Okay. And the nice thing with Illustrator is I can always come back and change these as I go. So I'm going to choose a couple lines at a time. If I use Shift and select them, then I can easily choose multiple pieces and do all that at once for several parts. Okay, so they don't all have to be that way, but it looks good if you make a lot of them that way. So then we got this. I definitely want to do the eyes and the ears and all my outlines in the same style. So I got this, and so now you can see the eyes have a lot more interest than they did before. So I'm going to continue doing the same thing with the ears, and I can illustrate my entire image this way by drawing real easy with pencil tool and then coming back afterwards and changing my lines. You may be wondering, why don't you just draw with these lines in the first place? And I don't know, maybe I'll try that sometime, but right now I find that this works pretty good and keeps me evaluating which line style to use on each piece. Now I notice that this neck and this collar appear to be one piece, which is not a good idea because I want start and end points to those lines, and I want this color to appear to go around the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the direct selection tool. I'm going to choose that point right there, and I'm going to use this cut path right there. So now where I had one path before, now I should have two paths. I can change this one, of course, to 2.5, 0.25. I'm going to stretch this one so it looks like it goes through and beyond, and that looks a lot better. Let's change this to 0.5. Okay, probably 0.25 on that one, eh? Okay, so now I have real cartoony, brushy looking lines that really improve the appearance of the image. Mostly my outlines and my important details of my face are going to appear this way. Okay, so you're going to take this image and yours and work it out in a similar fashion. So let's just do a whole bunch of pieces at once, and I'm going to choose my brush, and I'm going to change the thickness, and I can keep working through the whole image in a similar fashion. Whenever possible, if I know that several pieces are going to have the same line style, I'm going to do them all at once by selecting them. Now you can see that I've only gotten part of the image done. Got a lot of stuff left to do, but I think you get the idea. Now let's assume the head is complete, and we're going to include our color later, but let's just add that last piece there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work forward through the rest of the image, and remember that we built layers for the purpose of organizing your work. And so now that I'm done with the head, I can lock this with no danger of messing it up at any point in the future. Okay, it wouldn't hurt, by the way, if I just took this and added a few accent lines in here just to give some flow and interest to the drawing. So there's that, and the next thing I'll do is I'm going to work my way through the rest of the picture and using my layers to separate out the work.